Yes. Oh.
Somebody attending the board meeting from the Mississippi River, that's a first.
Yeah. And then to see him in person 2 days later, what did they?
Yeah.
Okay, well, wait, I have the two t-shirts.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Big book. I have one. Okay.
We're good.
That's okay. Yeah. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. Okay, so are you?
We bought Bill.
Oh, I forgot to bring them hard. I think you would check. Do I?
Give up on the mask.
Okay.
He had a new cell phone.
Nice, nice. Okay.
You all.
What? Okay. Reality comes out. So talking.
Checking 1, 2, check 1, 2, check, check, check. Oh, yeah. There we go.
I'm leaving tomorrow, we're coming back Saturday.
Check 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
We're flying to, Fort Worth, and then we have to drive an hour, so.
Okay.
Yeah. We're flying, Chelsea. I hate to fly, so. It's gonna be a race.
But I'm going to be graduating. That's what I'm doing. It is more stable.
The other team gets a chance to.
Yes.
But I couldn't carry the baskets. I tried steering it.
And he'll tell us all about it in great detail.
Expecting pictures, you know.
I heard the husband get and I called. Pretty good now.
We practiced that
I was.
Still?
Today was a very busy morning.
I'm gonna mail
Baby
it to
my
my
street,
kitty
so
today.
they wouldn't let her in, so I had to go down there to meet her. So then I needed a purse, and keys, and I was right, I didn't need anything. So I was tired by the time I got in the car. That's what I'm doing.
No matter what happens before, you always feel better.
I always do.
Good morning.
Hi, Janet. Good morning.
Richard will be here any moment. How was the trip?
It was wonderful. A wonderful experience. It was nice. Nice to get down south finally.
You
people.
never been?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Interesting, huh? A lot of history there.
Yeah, a lot of southern accents too.
Y'all,
No.
right? Y'all.
Y'all and pleasure.
And what?
We had a waitress who always, when we said thank you, she said pleasure.
Oh. Pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. Just like
Oh, lovely.
that.
Okay, I'm gonna try and figure out this view. Speaker, okay. I'm just still playing here, trying to, there we go, full screen. Hi, Bonnie. Happy birthday to your daughter. Did she give birth today or was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
No, it was
Okay.
Thursday. It was
Oh.
May the 4th be with you.
Oh, the fourth.
Okay. I could not believe her size.
The twins
Wasn't that
are-
amazing?
Turned 19.
Well, there were
I
two.
don't know how she moved. Nature's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
You can
So we'll start in 2 minutes.
You gotta get in the camera.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Richard.
How are you?
Good to see you. Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
All right.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Was the captain of your ship this time your relative that you had found that last time?
Yeah, he wasn't the captain, but he worked the engine room. A relative.
So he was still on this ship too.
No, he wasn't on this. He was on a paddle boat. So he seems to specialize in that. And this was a different line. That was American Queen, and we were on American
Oh,
Cruise,
okay.
American Cruise Line.
Okay.
Good memory, though, Janet.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can get this view correct. I'm gonna.
Waiting for me.
Jackie's here. We can begin.
Thank you.
When you're on a trip anywhere with a group of people, you always have to wait for that last person to get on the bus. Right? Then you glare at them. So Jackie thought she was that last person here, but we're not glaring because you're well on time.
I know, but I get all.
But she can stay. Oh,
To the second. I am to the second.
We're to 10.
No, I can't go by that.
Oh.
You got to go by this. This is like London time. This is it.
Is that an Apple Watch?
Yeah, it is. All right, at this time, please, if you have not put on a talit, please rise. We'll say the bracha together. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit. Please be seated as we begin our service on page 14. We always begin with singing some psalms in order to help to set the mood. Page 14.
You want me to? I'm gonna try and figure.
Yisrael Hashamayim, Yisrael Hashamayim, Yisrael Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam. Amecha, Barech Enachatecha, Murei, 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 Menaseh, Mat Ha'olam, Hoshia Amecha, Barech Enachatecha, Murei, 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 Menaseh, Mat Ha'olam. Mizmor Shir, Shir Yom HaShabbat. 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 Page 15. Tzadika Tamar Yifram Yeret Bamanon Iskeshetolim Bebeit Adonai Bechatzot Eloheinu Yafrei Oh, Inu Monteseva Shining Verananim Yolehagim Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Elo Avrata Kolod Mayim Mayim Madivim Meshureya Adir Bamarom Malchutecha, Malchut Olamim, Shabtecha, Bechol Dor Vador, Malchutecha, Malchut Olamim, Shabtecha, Bechol Dor Vador, Malchutecha, Malchut Olamim, Shabtecha, Bechol Dor Vador, Malchutecha, Malchut Olamim, Shabtecha, Bechol Dor Vador. Ma'anach Nevarech Ya Me'atari Ad Olam Me'atari Ad Olam Hallelujah 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 Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Shama. Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Kol Shama, Hallelujah, 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 Kol Shama, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Please rise. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 Baruch Hu at Adonai Amivorach. Please be seated. We're on page 16. Eladon Kol Hamaasim Ha'Tovim Bara Efiko Neshama Betuvo Malei Olam Ta'adikuna Solevimotem Amika E'achayot HaKodesh Tenedar B'chamor Amedavo Zechut Mishor Lifnei Chisav Chesed Berachamim Lifnei Elot Zolim Be'orot Shebarach Elohim Yitzhak V'Tamati Devina U'Naseh Torah Natan Amen Lord Muslim Kerati Malay Ziv Lukin Nadan Not Ezidam Necholach Olam Reading the Satan Zazim Bivoam Osim Biheim Haritzim Be'er Bechavod Nodim Bishmot Ta'averina Be'zecher Mafuto Be'kara Hashemesh Ha'yizra Torah Be'yikim Torah Rabbanan Sheva Lenot Milo Kol Siva Marom Tiferet Ugedula Zafim V'Yochanim La 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 Or Chadash, Harvey's in the room. Or Adonai Yoser Ami Oru Avarava Ahatamru Adonai Eloheinu Chem Lagidola Vitera Hamaka Aleinu Aminu Makeinu Ba'apura Moteinu Shebatu V'cha Shebatu V'cha Arinu Makeinu Vatenu Kovayim Eichanenu Laneinu Aminu Avarach Amarachim Rachim Aleinu Etvenu Lehavi Lehavinu Askim Lishma Alemoru Lehamdei Shmor Velasot O Gayem et Kol Divrei Utorat Tachaviyama V'ha'erinu v'toratecha v'dahabek v'dinu v'mitzvotecha v'yachei levaveinu v'yachmo v'yirai shemecha v'lo nevosh le'olam ba'ed v'lo nevosh le'olam Thank you. gather our tzitzit together. V'havienu l'shalom yavakan fot haaretz b'tolicheinu kum v'seinu ki'el po'el Yeshua ata. Uvayna v'charta midolam v'lashon v'kertanu l'shimcha gados ala be'emet l'hodot lecha u'li'achetcha b'yahava Baruch ata Adonai abocher b'yamo Yisrael b'ahava Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'dvarim ha'elah asher anochi mitzavecha hayom levanecha v'dibarta v'shivtecha v'beitecha u'lechtecha b'derech u'shachbecha u'lecha u'shota v'yota yadecha v'hayu l'totafot v'einecha u'v'tam v'tamcha Page 18. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the children of Israel and bid them to make tzitzit in the corners of their garments throughout their generations, putting upon the tzitzit of each corner a thread of blue. When you look upon the tzitzit, you will be reminded of all the commandments of the Lord and obey them. You will not be led astray by the inclination of your heart or by the attraction of your eyes. Thus will you be reminded to fulfill all my commandments and be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God. Azot, azot, shivechu ahuvim, V'romemu, 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 v'natanu, v'natanu yedidim, v'natanu, v'natanu yedidim, zirot, shirot, v'tishbachot, v'erachot, v'hodaot, v'melech el chai v'kayam, Ram v'nisa, gadol v'nora, mashvil v'im, u'madli hashepamim, motzi asirim, v'vodei anavim, v'yom zeralim, v'yom neleam, Hilo le'el yom baruch barach Moshe v'nei Yisrael l'chaim tzivra v'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam mi chamocha v'elei Adonai mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh norah tehilot B'chadasha shivachu ge'ulim l'shimcha asvat hayam Yachad kulam huduvim lechu v'yamaru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. So before we do our communal prayer, our private prayers of thanks, we'll have communal prayers of thanks. This is birthday Shabbat. Gladys Sturman is at the end of the month celebrating her birthday. And in the house, Harvey Cohen in 6 days will turn 101 years. For anybody who moves beyond the century mark, we actually use their name in the course of singing happy birthday to them. So let us sing happy birthday to Harvey. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Harvey. Happy birthday to you. And many, many more. I say it may have asked 3 until 120, but that would be short circuiting your length. So let us have an opportunity to turn it out to you to share what you are particularly thankful for. Who would like to start? Bonnie.
Well, David and I are particularly thankful that our twin grandchildren, Yael and Gavi, turned 19 on Thursday. And Gavi is still in Syracuse. He comes home on Wednesday. He finishes his final exams for the second semester, and then he's coming home. And Yael has another 6 weeks at UC San Diego. But she came home yesterday so we could celebrate her birthday, and then we'll celebrate Gavi, and then we'll celebrate them together. It'll just keep on going. And David and I are also very grateful that we really had a wonderful Lower Mississippi cruise, and that we went safely. It was a little delayed, and we came home safely. That wasn't delayed. But we had a marvelous time, and we found 3 shtetls along the lower Mississippi that had Jewish settlements in the late 1700s and early 1800s. Vicksburg, Mississippi, Natchez, Mississippi, and St. Francisville, Louisiana. The first 2 had 17,000 people, and then Jewish settlers in there. And the last one, St. Francisville, has 1,700 people, and there is a synagogue there, and there is a cemetery there. And the amazing thing in all 3 of these places is that I don't think there are any Jews there now, but as they died off and the children moved away, they set up perpetual care of their cemeteries. Unbelievable. And in St. Francisville, there was a very wealthy Jewish man who built a school, 1,700 people. It didn't vary much over the centuries. He built a school building for kindergarten through the 12th grade. The building is still there. The tour guide who showed us.
I'm going to share some of that.
Okay. I'm not going to say all of it. Are you going to say about the goodness of people? Okay. So it will be continued, but it was just an amazing, amazing trip, and really a lovely cruise down the Mississippi. Very peaceful and calm and beautiful. So we're very grateful.
Thank you, Bonnie. By the way, just to follow up on our 19-year-old grandchildren, their last year of teens, for 2 of them, that we learned last night, at least I learned last night because we had a Shabbat dinner and we had a chance to celebrate their birthdays. Gavi's still in Syracuse, but Yael came up from San Diego for a Shabbat in Cinco de Mayo dinner. So we had a Mexican Shabbat dinner in honor of their birthday. But I learned that my daughter, Alicia, she was carrying twins. And if you saw the picture on Facebook, you saw that she was out to here. Scary is right. And I learned last night that when she went into labor, and it was really exhausting, and it was very painful for her, that the doctor started, at the very end, doctor was saying, push, push. And he said, no, you pull. I never heard before, but he said, brilliant. Why don't more pregnant women say that?
But to be a twin isn't painful at all.
Yes, you can attest. And she has not found it, the twins have not found it painful either. Thank you. Who else would like to share what you are thankful for? Becky.
Well, I am leaving tomorrow to fly to Texas. And then I was, February, I was named Employee of the Month.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to share what you are thankful for? Claire.
We had a very nice party last night. It was to celebrate a couple of birthdays, including our son's 67th birthday. Thank you very much. And we also celebrated Mother's Day because there are a lot of complications, people having to, just be with other people. And it was really fun.
Nice, thank you.
Most of the family was there.
Yeah, Mother's Day is coming up. Sheila.
I am very proud that I have graduated to a K And I'm working with my cane, and I'm trying real hard not to use my walker because I want to be well. And I'm going by myself to Washington, D.C. on the 18th, so I won't be here for the next service. My granddaughter is graduating from Georgetown. She's going to be a lawyer, and she has a job already. She hasn't sat for the bar yet, but and I'm just very excited about both of those things, and I'll get to see the kids. So.
Wonderful. Would you like to share what you are thankful for, right?
First of all, this may sound very trite, but I personally, I think both of us are very grateful to have hot water. I would never take hot water for granted. After finishing the roof, took care of that. The hot water heater decided to go out, just like that. And so there was only cold water coming. Anyway, it took a few days, but we have a new hot water heater, and it's so nice. Now I'm standing in the hot shower without having to add tea kettles full. But the other thing I wanted to share with everyone, I am so grateful to this congregation, to you, Rabbi Bonnie, to so many of you here. We had the walk last Sunday, and even though, yes, it was a smaller walk, it was in Los Angeles, we were the magnificent seven who were there in person, but we had a team of 17 people who were walking with us, including being on the Mississippi, being in Israel, being here, and then also amazing generosity of many members and friends who helped our team reach our goal. So we've surpassed $1,000. And considering, and Jordan could attest to this, that some of the larger synagogues, not that we were in competition, had small teams this year. So Shir Ami, we were there. And I just wanted to show everyone we are.
Here we are. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you to everyone. Yes.
And Ray, thank you for leading the way.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Harvey.
I'm grateful for unusual people, especially two people. One of them is Judy, our Judy, who puts herself out of the way to make sure that I can be here if I want to be here. She's busy today, so she's not here, but she will. And also in Wings Over Wendy's group that meets every Monday morning. Originally, Sherry and I attended those meetings for a couple of months. And then we weren't there because, of course, Sherry couldn't be there anymore. I get a call out of the clear blue sky, a guy I didn't even remember meeting. He said, "Would you like a ride to the meeting and to the luncheon?" And he's done it every Monday since. And this warms my heart to know that there are people who, for no reason at all, except they want to help, I guess, that are willing to do these things. And makes life a little more interesting.
Thank you. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for before we turn to our screen? Jordan.
Two things. First, the simple one. Yesterday at my firm, they had a Cinco de Mayo luncheon. Normally, I would not participate in that because Saturday mornings I weigh in at Jenny Craig. Fortunately, Thursday I got an email from Jenny Craig saying that they are ceasing operations, so I didn't have to weigh in today. Outside of the fact that there are other things, but so I did participate in the luncheon with gusto. Also, some of you may note that for the past several weeks, for the Misha Baruch, I've been saying the name of Roger Barkley, who is a friend of my best friend from law school, or gentleman friend, and he had cancer prostate surgery, and his PSA came back 0 after the surgery. What was important is that when I asked for his name when she first told me about it, his last name, so that I could say Misha Baroff. And my friend doesn't really believe in God, and I told her it's not just about God; it's about having a rooting corner for you somewhere in the world. And that he had the entire congregation rooting for him. And when she emailed me that the PSA was totally negative, then she thanked me and wanted to pass on the thanks to the congregation.
Happy that my wife Joan has joined me today.
Good to have you here. Who else would like to show what you were thankful for before we go on the screen? See who's there. Sheila.
I'm thankful that my friend Phyllis ships me everywhere. It's wonderful to have someone at your back.
That's nice. Very nice. Anybody else here before we turn to there? Okay, who would like to share on the screen? Janet.
There. Oh, I undid our screen. Hold on. There. Okay. What I want to share is that today is a real circle of life day. 27 years ago today, this date, my sweet dad of blessed memory passed away at 88 years old. 13 years ago today, Richard's dear loving brother Bob of blessed memory passed away at 72 years old. Today, right now, we are awaiting the arrival of our daughter and family to celebrate the graduation of our granddaughter, Shayna Helen, from ASU. Not only does she have the distinct honor of graduating summa cum laude, but she is graduating from the same university of her great-grandmother and namesake, Helen, who graduated there. And that's what we have to share today.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you, Janet.
Mm-hmm.
Who else would like to share before we have Stan share? Okay, well, Stan, this is a first for our congregation. I am going to spotlight you so that we'll all be able to hear you. And as you know, Stan is in Israel. Please share with the congregation. Make sure you're not muted, though, Stan. Something going on here?
Okay. First of all, I'm so glad to be here at the King David Hotel. My last night here, coming home tomorrow night and getting back Monday morning. Secondly, happy 101 to Harvey. I understand now that they've named the freeway after you. So, and thirdly, of course, this is maybe my 15th trip to Israel. I haven't counted, but by far the most exciting, by far the most involved and actually fast-paced and something important going on pretty much the day and night. We just finished a dinner and, of course, ending with Havdalah with speakers. Earlier in the afternoon here, I did a walking tour of the old city and the path from the King David Hotel there with a lot of information that, although I've been there many times, I certainly didn't know. I started out with Rabbi Soloveitchik, who I've been watching on, of course, YouTube type or actually internet now for 3 years. And he was an icon on my screen. And now he's alive and kicking. He's known as Solly to everybody, which I didn't know. And I've spent a lot of time very close to him. Some of what we've done has been over an earphone set. And since I'm wearing hearing aids, I didn't want to put the earphones over the hearing aids. So I've been very close to him just to be able to, to hear better of what he's saying. I can't get into detail at this point of so many things that I've done and learned, which I will when I get back, share it in a format that's more compatible to it. I'm so happy to see everybody there. Let me say that Israel is so much alive and moving forward. There's so many things going on and so much progress that it's thrilling. It's really the process of like Jerusalem of old and new. This is Israel of old and new, with the new coming about more and more. And I'm, I couldn't be more blessed. So thank you.
Thank you, Stan. This is phenomenal. Who would have thought 20 years ago that this would have been possible? But let us all please now rise, and we'll continue with own private thoughts of thankfulness. For Yisrael, Kuma B'Yezrat Yisrael, Ufedeichinu Meha, Yehuda B'Yisrael. Aleinu Adonai Tzva'ot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Al Yisrael. Continue quiet. Shalom, Tova, Uvracha, Teva, Chesed, Chesed, V'Rachamim, Aleinu V'Yakol, Aleinu V'Yakol, Aleinu V'Yakol, Yisrael, Sing Shalom, Tova, Uvracha, Teva, Chesed, Shalom, Tova, Uvracha, Teva, Chesed, V'Rachamim, Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael Amecha, Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael Amecha, Sing Shalom, Tova, Uvracha, Teva, Chesed, V'Rachamim. Say shalom, shalom, shalom. Gemro Maruya Hashem, shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom, shalom, shalom. Gemro Maruya Hashem, shalom aleinu. Yaakov, Yisrael, Ne'emaru, Amen. Please be seated. David, Gerashim Rabban, Yomadi Brachi Rutevium Lechmachute B'Chayechon, B'Yomechon B'Chayechon Beit Yisrael, B'Agala Obizman Karibim Meru, Yehesh Mei Rabbam Vorach, Leolam Leom Meomayat, Yifarach, Yifarach Vishtabach Vipar, Vitramam Minaseh, V'Yithadar, V'Yitalav V'Ilal Shemei Dekudesha, Leilam Kol B'Chata V'Shorata, Tush B'Chata V'Nechmata, Amiran B'Alma V'Yimaru, Amen. Titkabel Tzlat Hon V'Hon Chol Yisrael, Adam Avoni B'Shmaya V'Yimaru. Amen. Heshlam Rabba Mitchamayim V'Chim Aleinu V'Akol Yisrael V'Yimaru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mromav. Hu Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu V'Akol Yisrael V'Yimaru. Amen. We've come to the Torah service. Who would like the honor of carrying the Torah through the congregation? Mike. Who would like the honor of Hagba, picking up the Torah? Lee. Thank you. Who would like the honor? I'm sorry, Eric. Who would like the honor of binding the Torah, wrapping the Torah? Okay, so Eric and David will come up for the Hagban Galila. We continue on the middle of page 19. Ein kamocha b'Elohim Adonai v'ein k'maasecha malchutecha malchut ro'olamim Shatecha b'chol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai oz li'amo yitei Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom Avarachamim Eitiva b'tzroncha et Zion Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim Yimecha levadotanu Melech Rabbisa Adonai Goma Adonai v'afusu oimecha v'yanusu misanecha v'banecha Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Udemar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato Be'anarachei Belishmei Kadisha Kadisha Yakira Anamar Jushmechan Be'anarachei Be'anarachei Belishmei Kadisha Kadisha Yakira Anamar Jushmechan Yeravakadama Titivtach libi v'yoraita V'tashli v'shalim delibi V'levanecholamam Yisrael L'tavet l'chaim v'lishlam Amen Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Gadol Shema. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Gadol Shema. Adonai Iti, with aroma Shema Yachton. Adonai Hagidu, Lava Hagidu, Rabba Tiveret, Ve'adei Tzach Ve'ahod. Kiko Bashamayim Mubarak, yes, Kiko Bashamayim Mubarak. Adonai hamamlacha ve'hamiknaseh lechol harash. Mitzion teitei Torah. Mitzion teitei Torah. Ki Mitzion, ki Mitzion, ki Mitzion teitei Torah. Mitzion teitei Torah. Mitzion teitei Torah. Ki Mitzion, ki Mitzion. We remain standing for the reading of the Torah. The Torah portion is Emor. We shall talk a little bit about it in a few moments.
That's okay. No. It's a skinny color.
But thank you. Please point right here. Kiss. And join together. Baruch Hu Adonai Hamorah. Baruch Adonai Hamorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'avim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe Emor el HaKohanim b'nei Aharon v'amarta alehem lenefesh lo yitama ve'amav ki im lishero hakarov elav le'imo u'laviv u'livno u'vito u'lachiv ve'la'achoto ha'betula ha'krova elav asher lo hayta le'ish La yitama, lo yitama be'al be'amav, lehechalo.
Kiss again, point right there. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Yeshua. Please be seated. I'm a little sorry that Stan isn't staying on in Israel for a couple of more days, because if he's never experienced Lag BaOmer in Israel, it is really a remarkable experience. This is the day that kids tried to set the whole country on fire. It's because it's in the counting of the Omer, this is a day that has become unique. And so let's talk a little bit first about the counting of the Omer, what that's all about, because the commandment to count the Omer is in the Torah portion this coming Shabbat. And here's the way it's listed. And from the day on which you bring a sheaf of elevation offering, the day after Shabbat, which the rabbis understood to be the day after the first day of Pesach, so it would be the second day of Pesach, you shall count off 7 weeks. They must be complete. You must count until the day after the 7th week, 50 days, and then you shall bring an offering of new grain to the Lord. So this counting then goes on for 7 weeks. Well, what happens to the 7 weeks after the second day of Passover? It's Shavuot. So you're actually counting down 49 days, and the next day is going to be the holiday of Shavuot, which is very interesting because every other Jewish holiday that's mentioned in the Torah has a specific day assigned to it. the 15th of Adar, the 14th of Nisan, whatever it might be. In this particular case, one of the major pilgrimage festivals, Shavuot, the time that we received the Torah, is not listed at all by date. It is 50 days after Passover, which is why the rabbis say that maybe it's because it's not really its own day. It actually concludes Passover. So very much like Shmini Atzeret concludes the Passover season, the Sukkot season, so too does Shavuot complete Passover. So how does that work? It's because Passover, the time of our redemption, being freed, that freedom is not going to be completed until 7 weeks later when they get to Mount Sinai and they receive the law. Why is that? Because freedom, Passover, without law, Shavuot, is anarchy. Think about a society that has no laws. So what the rabbis were saying is that these become very, very important weeks, these 7 weeks, because we are wanting to refine our character and prepare ourselves to be able to receive the Torah. And this goes on for 7 weeks. Now, it's not just for that purpose. We count the days of the Omer because it's also an agricultural season. This is the season of the barley harvest. And each day you will want to acknowledge the goodness of having received a plentiful bounty by counting the days of the Omer. And so each day we do actually that counting of the Omer. We do it every evening. We do it standing up. We do it by days and by weeks because the law says you count off by days and by weeks. So you count off, this is the 14th day of the counting of the Omer. That is 2 weeks, something like that. In this particular case, today is the 30th day of the counting of the Omer. Lag BaOmer, Lamed Gimel are 2 Hebrew letters that add up to 33. It's the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer. So what is this holiday that's going to be coming up this coming Tuesday all about? This holiday of Lag BaOmer, that the day that the kids are going to create these huge bonfires of light in order to establish this as a day of joy. It's because the rest of the 7 weeks are days of sorrow. They're days of sadness. So not only are they days of being thankful for the barley harvest, but they are also days of semi-mourning. And the question is, why are they days of semi-mourning? So much so that no weddings can be completed during these 7 weeks. That joyous celebrations are usually held off until after the 7 weeks. Now, there may sometimes be weddings during this period, but in the Orthodox community, they will not have any weddings between Passover and at least until Lag BaOmer. And then after Lag BaOmer, they may conduct weddings because the law is a little bit confusing here. But Lag BaOmer becomes an interruption in these days of semi-mourning. And they're an interruption because something happened on Lag BaOmer 2,000 years ago in order to break the sadness that was a part of this season. What is that sadness all about, that they are days of semi-mourning? Well, this is the way the Talmud explains it. Rabbi Akiva, it says, had 12,000 pairs of students. That must have been quite an academy that he was establishing there. 12,000 pairs, 24,000 students. All of them died in one period of time during the period of the counting of the Omer. And it seems that they died because they did not conduct themselves with respect towards one another. The way the Midrash, the rabbis explain this, they died because they were jealous of each other. And one rabbi in the Yafat Tovar explains it with this Midrash. The students did not want to help each other in their studies. So competitive were they that they were always trying to fight against each other rather than helping each other. I remember that when I was a student at UCLA, we had one student, very, very smart, very brilliant scholar. And he told me that this was his policy during finals, because this was not finals period for colleges all over the country. He said, what I would do is I would study really, really hard for my exams until the day before the exam, the night before the exam. then I'd go through the dorm and I'd go up to all my friends and I would say, hey, come on out with me. Let's go to a movie. And they would say, no, we can't. We're studying. It's finals. The finals begin tomorrow. Oh, come on. You're going to do fine. Come with me to the movies. And he would convince them to go to the movies with him. And then he would surpass them in their grades. He was a person who fought against his fellow students for the grade in the sense that he was making sure that they failed at his success. This is apparently what was going on with Hillel's students, that they were so competitive, the Rabbi Akiva's students, that they were so competitive that they fought against each other. And as a result, according to the rabbis, that is why this terrible disaster afflicted 24,000 of Rabbi Akiva's students. And so one of the lessons that the rabbis say is that we need to try to make sure that during these 7 weeks, we perfect ourselves to the point that we are going to be worthy of receiving the Torah on Shavuot. And one of the ways that we do that, we perfect ourselves, is by making sure that at the very least, we try to take the jealousy we might feel at somebody else's success and temper it in such a way that rather than being a hindrance to them, we're a help to them. We try to help each other as much as possible. And you've already heard today of the people who have been helping others. We had Harvey talk about two people who in his life he wanted to make sure that they were acknowledged. Judy, who would be so careful about making sure that Harvey was going to be able to be brought to services. And the other person who was able to, and a young man, I think he's in his 40s, this veteran who was bringing him every Monday to go to a meeting of veterans. These are the people who in our lives we want to acknowledge that are helpful to us, but also people that we want to acknowledge their helpfulness. So this brings us now to what Bonnie was saying before, that when we were on our trip through the South, we were able to find a challenge every day of the journey that no other passenger would ever need to face. And we always do this whenever we go on our vacation. We try to find Jewish components to a trip that usually is not a Jewish trip. Yeah, we have been on Jewish heritage trips, but when they're not Jewish heritage trips like this one down the lower Mississippi, we always try to find something Jewish about the excursions that we're going to be taking. And a lot of times the excursions are not just to a plantation or to a site, but they're a loop where you get in a bus provided by the tour company and they drive you around the city and you can get off at any stops that you want. They're on and off stops. And then you can get off and you can visit and then get back on the bus when it comes back around again and move on to the next stop. And so that's what this particular company provided for us at every single stop. And there were like 7, 8 stops that we had in that many cities, and we would take the loop. But then we would always do a little bit of research, and we would find out, is there anything Jewish about where we're going? So you heard that in most of the cities where we were, there weren't even any Jews, but there were Jewish sites. And this is where the expeditions that we have taken over the years has really taken on a wonderful quality of its own, because it becomes a challenge to find the shul or the old synagogue that maybe isn't there anymore, but that is there. Maybe finding the Jewish cemetery that is being kept up, but is no longer being visited by anybody. And we have a chance to go and to visit the Jewish cemetery, at least to see something about the history of these towns. And so that's exactly what we did. And we met 2 people on these excursions of our private excursions to Jewish sites that were the people who went out of their way to help us. And so in the effort to encourage you to think about the people who were important in your life and to share, as we heard today, what was helpful about them in your life, these are what these 2 people did. We went to one cemetery, and this was a cemetery in Vicksburg. No Jews in Vicksburg, but this wonderful, wonderful cemetery that we saw that was being kept up. And then both, I think, are correct. And when we finished, we had trouble locating where the bus was going to go, and so we ended up trying to call Uber. Well, Uber in Vicksburg, apparently they're not just driving around waiting to pick people up. And every time we called, and we were out there on the outside of the cemetery in a more traveled area near a state park, as it turns out, a veterans memorial park that was right there next to the Jewish cemetery. And we were there trying to find an Uber. And I kept calling, and they kept saying, "Where are you?" And I said, "Here we are." And then they were saying, we're not going to go there. And so I'm sitting on the grass, and Bonnie's trying to call a cab, and she can't seem to get a hold of a cab company. And then suddenly a policeman comes and approaches us, a ranger. And he comes up to us with a big smile on his face. And he says, "I've been over there, and I've been watching you. And you're just, like two visitors to our lovely town of Vicksburg, but you seem to be having a problem. What's going on?" And we told him we can't get back to the ship. We can't find anybody who will take us. And he said, "Come with me." And he piled us into his police car. And he drove us all the way to the ship. Now, we couldn't give him a tip because then that would be bribery and he'd have to arrest us. But he let us off. I at one point I wanted to kind of lean over as we were getting out of the car, and I would say, as we walk to the ship and everybody's going to be watching us, wondering what's going on here, I want you to yell at us and don't let me catch you doing that again. But didn't have a chance to say that, especially since nobody was actually watching us from the ship. So we got off, but we were so very, very thankful that this policeman went out of his way to drive us 15 minutes all the way to the ship and to accommodate us, because that's what kind of a good person he was. And then the second opportunity we had to be thankful for the generosity of another person. After we had this other tour where we were in the town of St. Francisville, population 1,700, as you heard, not one Jew amongst them apparently, but they did have a couple of Jewish sites. And one of the Jewish sites was this remarkable synagogue and school that was set up by a Jew. But right after the tour, after we did the loop, and it was at the end of the day, and it was the last loop, it was close to 5 o'clock, and our tour guide, who was brought in by the company, who lives there in St. Francisville, and she was all done with the day. She had done a number of these tours all day long, and she was all done, and she was exhausted. And we got off the bus, and Bonnie, as she often does, in order to find out where some of these Jewish sites are, she went up to her and she said, we're having trouble finding the synagogue. We were there earlier. We walked all around. The best that we could do was to find this Hebrew Christian storefront, and it had mud and ovens all over, but also all sorts of Christological stuff. And we knocked on the door just to see what's going on in there, and nobody was there. And we walked all the way back again. And is there a Jewish site in the town that we can see? And her eyes lit up, and she said, my time is done now, so I can devote my time to you. Get in my car, and I'm going to drive you to what you will find to be fascinating. And she piled us into her car, and she brought us to this remarkable site of the ancient synagogue that has been converted into something else, and the school that still had remnants of Judaism about it. Like there were some benches in the front from years and years before, and they were endowed in honor of the Jewish people. We could tell by the names that were on them. We were so very, very thankful of the time that she spent with us, that at the end I wanted to give her something. And she said, no, that's okay. I gave her something anyway, and because I thought it was important that we acknowledge our thankfulness to her. But these are two people who went out of their way in order to be accommodating to complete strangers. And so when we are in life ever going to find ourselves with the opportunity to pay it forward, to go to people and to be accommodating, to be helpful, to guide them, to say, ask how they are, to feel that in any way we can make an attachment with them, as brief as it is, we need to do that, so that we don't end up like the students of Rabbi Akiva, whose jealousy, even though they studied in pairs for years and years with each other, it was always their jealousy that got in the way of being true partners. We need to make sure that we continue our partnership with other people by going out of our way to be helpful. And in that way, we continue to do our Kodesh moment. We're now going to do a Mishaber. For those who are not well, I'll ask you to mention their names in just a moment. So have them ready. Lishaber Chavatena, Abraham Isaac, Yaakov, Motenu, Sarka, Kavalea, who Yivarech, Rebbe Cholim. May he who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal these who are sick. So raise your hand if you have any names.
I'll go first, then Shoshana. Moshe Shmuel, then Shoshana. Raquel Masha, Bat Shoshana. Anya, Shana Martha, Bat Sarah. Shoshana Abitaba, Kesha, Etan, and Bertha.
Thank you.
Phyllis, Sheila, Jay, Michelle,
Thank you. Other names.
Arlene and Oscar Schwartz, and David Goodstein.
Thank you. Right?
Suzanne, Matthew, Jeanette, Donna, Bill Cooper, Donna Cruz, Frank.
Other names.
Megan Ross, Pete Harris, Elliot Pepperfield, Fran Kabolnik, Sam Kabolnik, Dee Kylo, John Stonemaker, Diana Stonemaker, Jenny Finley, Sheila Hart, Stephanie Ross, Jerry Ross, Bill Short.
Israel Linder, Joe Golden, and Lise Pistol.
Phyllis Schroeder, and Isabel Borowski. Nadav Sella, Jane Apson, Lyndon Bob Sharp, Bonnie Ritter, Fran Winters, Rebecca Farber, Linda Vorman, Nancy Arkin, Mina Hersher, Barbara Garabach, and Steve Schuster.
Thank you. Other names. Barbara.
Bob Noah, Nancy Staton, Lucas Staton, Walter Kay, Steve Schuster, Nancy Arkin, Dave Levin.
Neil Snow, Judy Rosen, and Susie Gray.
Charlie Matlin, Ruth Solomon, Sue Cronin, Diane Wynn, Shelley Dean, Steve Schuster.
Steve Schuster, and
Any update? We have
Chuck Richmond. And we talked to Sima Luncheon.
Well, yeah, I think, and we all got a text from Nita. He's improving slowly but surely. He's getting speech therapy. His speech is improving. He's able to walk. Sima says he walks with 2-pound weights on his feet so he can, and he's improving. They'll do an assessment in a couple weeks and figure out where he is and if he's able to come home and continue his recuperation at home.
This is Steve Schuster, who had a minor stroke. Other names? Mike?
Johnny Easley, Marcia Megan, Melvin Brody.
Thank you. On screen, please wave at the camera, Janet.
Richard, Randy Gillum, Grant Hackman, Sheriff Farber, David Iwanski, Steve Schuster, and Barbara Jo Kirschbach.
Thank you. Sam.
Mark Suckman and Fran.
Thank you. Other names? Judy.
Beth Brown and Rachel Isikowitz.
Thank you. Other names? People who are not well? Anybody else here in the room that we have neglected? המקום ישלח להם במהרה רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף וטוב שאכלי ישראל ונאמר amen. May the All-Merciful restore these people to full health and to full vigor, along with all others who are stricken with illness, and let us say amen. We're going to say a prayer for the United States and Israel, and then we'll return the Torahs to the Ark. First, a prayer for America. May God bless the United States and protect her. And before we do our prayer for the state of Israel, we're going to, I would like to share this with you that Stan sent me about something that's going on in Israel these days that we can be proud of. An improved way to treat skin cancer with fewer side effects was carried out for the first time in Israel by plastic surgeons and oncologists at Jerusalem Shari Tzedek Medical Center. This technique involves electrochemotherapy that combines the introduction of low-dose chemotherapy directly into the tumor or through the vein, along with damage to the cellular membrane of the tumor cells by an electric current delivered in a targeted manner to the tumor tissue. This makes possible the selective introduction of chemotherapy into the tumor. The resulting synergistic effect, the team said, improves the effectiveness of the treatment, and reduces the side effects. The treatment is intended for a wide variety of skin cancers, such as tumors, basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, melanoma, Kaposi sarcoma, breast cancer with local cutaneous and subcutaneous recurrence, a metastatic spreading tumor of the liver or pancreas, and metastatic bone tumor, and more. So wonderful things kind of coming out of Israel. Stan, thank the people of Israel for us. And we are now going to rise for the blessing of Israel, and at the same time we'll have the Hagba and Galila. Please come forward. V'zot haTorah asher Moshe lifnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe Yisrael ve'oraita anu Yisrael ve'oraita anu Torah, hallelujah. Torah, hallelujah. Torah, hallelujah. Torah, hallelujah. Vayimi l'machzikiha v'toveha v'yusha derafeha darkei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom. Ashivenu Adonai V'nashuva V'adesh Yameinu V'adesh Yameinu We remain standing for Musaf, bottom of page 21. Yekada, Vikada Shemei Rabba, Yamari Rachi Ritenu Mechute, Bechayechon B'yomechon, Uchayenecho B'Yisrael, Bagala, Ubishman Kavi, V'Yimaru, Yesh Mei Rabba Bora, Leolam Leomaya Yiparach Vishtabach Yipar Vitamam Yinaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shemei V'Kodesha Le'ila Mikol B'Chata V'Shirata Page 22, we take 3 small steps back and then 3 steps forward, and we bow. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarai Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zacher Chasdei Avot Ulevi Goel V'Neim L'Ma'an Shemo V'Yahava Melech L'Shem Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Atagibor Elohim Adonai V'chayim Timata Ram Hoshia Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed Mechaye Metim Berachamim Rabim Somek Noflim Berochay Cholim Umatir Asurim Umechaye Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Al Gevurot Umidom Melach Melech Lemid Umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua Emanata Lachiot Beiti Baruch Ata Adonai Mechaye Hametim Narischa V'Nakdishcha Kisos Sefei Kodesh Amra Kedishim Shemcha B'Kodesh Kakatu Maya Nevi'echa V'Karazel V'Yamar Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech Haaretz Kvodo. Kvodo Malei, Malei Olam, Misharta V'Sholim, Sholim Zeh Aye Mekom, Mekom Kvodo, Aye Mekom, Mekom Kvodo, Yirmatam Baruch Yameru, Baruch Kavod Adonai Minkomo, Minkomo, Uyifen, Merachamim, V'Yacholam, Yachadim Shelo, Erev B'Boker B'Chol Yom Tamid, Pamayim V'Yava Shema Omrim, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Eloheinu, Avinu, Malkeinu, Avinu, Moshiach. V'yashmienu b'rachamav, she'eni v'einei kol chai. V'yashmienu b'rachamav, she'eni v'einei kol chai. Yolachem l'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. U'divrei chodecha katuv lemor, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, v'dor v'dor, hallelujah. Dor vador lagi god lachalem nesach nesachim kedushatcha nakdish. Shikhacha Eloheinu lepino liyamosh liyalava et yamel gadol v'kadosh ata baruch ata Adonai el hakadosh. Please be seated. Yismechu b'malechutecha shomrei 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 Shabbat v'korei honei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, Korei Onei Shabbat. Mekadeshei, Mekadeshei Shavi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbeu, Vidan Kubituvecha Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, Korei Onei Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, Honei Shabbat. V'ashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashta ho Shabbat, Chemdat yamim oto karata, Zecher l'masei v'reishit. Now, as Jordan makes his way up here to give our announcements, let me give you the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. Because I never explained to you what Lag BaOmer was. Lag BaOmer, the day of joy, the day of bonfires, is established because on that day, none of Rabbi Akiva's students died. And so because the plague that afflicted them was lifted, that has become a day to interrupt the rest of the season, a day of joy and gladness. And so try to find some reason for joy and gladness on Tuesday, Monday night and Tuesday, in celebration of Lag BaOmer. Jordan.
But if they were all dead, there were none left to die. Shabbat Shalom. First, I want to applaud the rabbi's delicacy in wisdom in saying that when one reaches an age above 100, we include their name when in reality it's because after 100, we don't want them saying, "Oh, whose birthday is it?" Next Thursday, May 11th, will be around the Rabbi's virtual Tish via Zoom at 7:30 p.m. Saturday, May 13th, will be a Shabbat Torah study session at the Schroeder's, 10:30 a.m. And since if one Tish is good, two is always better, there'll be another Tish on Thursday, May 18th at 7:30 p.m., again via Zoom. Our next Shabbat service will be on May 20th at 10:30 a.m. Sunday, May 14th is Mother's Day. And when you think Mother's Day, what else do you think? Target gift cards. Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
Is anybody collecting me to take? Me. Okay.
Becky.
Okay, great.
Yes.
When I went to Target, they didn't have any. So
Go.
finally I asked one of the ladies at the cashier, and she pulled out a box of them underneath.
Right.
Right.
They don't keep them out. I have to do the same thing.
Yeah, because the last Mother's Day, I kind of like took 10 of them.
So
It's me.
you pay for the back.
And why did I say time is running out 3 times? Because if you say it once, it could be an accident. You say it twice, it's a coincidence. But when you say it 3 times, it's deliberate. Just like the 3 shovel for, yeah, okay, fine. On Sunday, June 11th, we'll have a special program with Rabbi Feinstein. Israel, 75 years, old or new? To which Harvey responds, 75 years, I'm Fisher. At 2 p.m. in Reader's Room and via Zoom and live stream. And also an apologies to Ray. She asked that we wear the shirts that we wore at the Walk to End Genocide. And I couldn't find mine, so this is the shirt I wore to the Walk to End Genocide. And it was in my trunk. Anybody has anything else meaningful to add and extend the time? Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, George. Let's join together in the singing of Ein Keloheinu, page 24. Ein Please rise. Please be seated. However, if you are in mourning or observing Yahrzeit, remain standing. As we acknowledged the passing this last week of Rabbi Harold Kushner, the author of When Bad Things Happen to Good People, as well as other remarkable books of theology. If any of you have ever questioned God in the face of tragedy, learn from the man whose son died at the age of 13 of progeria, that rapidly aging disease, and the way in which his theology, his understanding of God, was changed in order to accommodate his doubts. And the book is a very readable book, a bestseller. And if you haven't read it, then find it and read it. When Bad Things Happen to Good People. And we mourn Rabbi Kushner's passing. And we observe these Yahrzeits of the coming weeks. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. Brandon Gribben, Alex Finkenstein, Molly Stone, Mike Cinnamon, Sheila Nachenberg, Rose Rosen, Ed Cherney, Leo Elias, J. Martin Goldfarb, Aaron Verity Rubin, Robert Kirschbaum, Herschel Selman, Nathan R. Silk, Herman Seufer, Sylvia Steinhardt, and Blimeth Froelich. Are there any names that I have neglected? The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 25. Yit Gadal, the Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah. The Alma Divrachi Rute, the Amlich Machute, V'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'bizman kari v'yivru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah v'lorach v'yalam v'l'omei omai. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitfa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha B'richu Le'elam Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tush B'chata V'Nechemata Da'amiran B'Alma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shalom HaRabba Min Shamayim V'Yakol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. We have two more sessions of the Around the Rabbi's Tish this coming Thursday night and the following Thursday night. So those of you who have been waiting for the last two episodes of the Tish to find out what it's all about, please come and join us. So 7:30 to 8:30, we're very strict about the time. We start on time, we finish on time. And we'd love to have you join us even if you haven't been around for a while. Let's join together in the singing of Adon Olam, page 26. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Yekasar, V'Tefsakol, Azay Melech, Shelo Nikra, V'Yachaveh, Yimlot HaKol, Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Kol,
Yasher
Rabbi
Kol.
Amani.
Yes.
Yasher
Shabbat
Kol.
Shalom. Thank you.
Thank you for being
Shabbat
Stan. It was
Shalom.
a delight to hear your report from Israel. Nice to see you all, Sybil and Judy and Lisa's on there, Sam and Janet, Sam and Janet Evening, and Richard. Okay.
Judy, you look all dressed up.
I went to a Zoom wedding.
Oh, lovely.
You're hearing all about it, Judy. Okay. Thank you all for being with us. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Great seeing you, Stan. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
And have a safe trip back.
And Judy.
Yes, yes.